Hi everybody, this is Saad for the Sad Truth. Today is the last day of President Barack Obama's 8-year term. Tomorrow he hands over the reins to Donald Trump. I thought that I would start off today by reading for you an article that I had written and published on my Psychology Today blog. This was on October 10th, 2009. Right after it had been announced that he had won the Nobel Prize. The article that I had written is titled, Obama Should Win All 6 Nobel Prizes. Nobel Prizes for Hope, Promise, and Dignity. Nice. So let me start off by reading this article, and I'll provide you with the link at the bottom of the description section, and then I'll make some additional comments that is relevant to the current political reality. So here we go. I should start today's post with a few disclaimers. I am Canadian and hence I have no personal bones to pick with regards to American domestic politics. I am neither a Democrat nor a Republican in my political leanings, as I take positions on issues rather than blindly affiliating with the red or blue team. Rest assured to all Obama lovers, there are many things that I detest about Bush, none more so than his anti-science, anti-evolution, pro-religion bent. Furthermore, Obama did mention non-believers in his inauguration speech, so as an evolutionist and atheist, I was pleased with his courage. With that in mind, I hope that you'll read my opinion piece with some open-mindedness and accordingly will refrain from posting insulting comments. Side note here, I had served as a true prophet here because I satirized all of the identity politics all the way back in 2009. So continuing with the article, recall that I am an Arab Jew and hence as a Semite I am technically speaking a man of, quote, color. As such, I will accuse you of either being a xenophobe, an anti-Semite, and or a racist should you post nasty and rude comments. Smiley face. Such are the games played by those who subscribe to identity politics. So the oppression Olympics and victimology poker is something that I have written about for many years, nearly a decade or so. See my earlier post on this topic here. You can follow that in the actual article. Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize 9 months into his presidential term. In accepting his award, he admitted that he had achieved nothing, but that he considered this a, quote, call for action. Incidentally, for those of you who are unaware, the nominations had to be posted by February 1st, 2009, namely less than 10 days after he had been inaugurated. Wow! Apparently he won the prize for his dignified tone, his hopeful messages, and his future promise. Nice. Let me ask you a question. Suppose that we were to identify an extraordinarily brilliant young economist, physicist, or chemist who was 9 months into his or her assistant professorship and who had otherwise not published a single paper in his or her short academic career. Could we be logically justified in granting him or her the Nobel Prize in one of the latter fields? What if we were to identify a promising novelist who had yet to write a single novel? Could we award him or her the Nobel Prize in literature? Here's another question for you to ponder. What if I had an extraordinarily bright student in my class who did not submit a single assignment, did not write a single exam, did not participate in any evaluative exercises? However, I was aware that this student was brilliant and that he displayed great hope and promise. I knew for a fact that he scored in the top 0.01% in IQ. Could I grant him an A on promise, on hope, on charisma? If I did, the administration and the other students would have reason to file a grievance against me. Hence, you will probably agree that a student who has done nothing in a class could not conceivably receive an A in the course. Yet a politician could win the Nobel Prize for doing nothing. If we are going to have a messianic love affair with Obama, then I suggest that we grant him all of the Nobel Prizes. 1. The Nobel Prize in Literature for his having written 2 books about himself. 2. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for proving that middle-aged men can look gorgeous in a bathing suit. Surely you must have seen his stunning abs in that infamous vacation photo, no? 3. The Nobel Prize in Chemistry for having organized the beer summit earlier this summer. In so doing, he has reaffirmed the importance of the biochemical reactions inherent to alcohol, these serving as social lubricants, i.e., people are less uptight when slightly drunk. 4. The Nobel Prize in Physics for having hired Stephen Shu, a Nobel laureate in physics, to be Secretary of Energy. 5. The Sveriges, I don't know how you pronounce it, Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel, or usually in short it is just stated as the Nobel Prize in Economics, for having passed the stimulus package. Here's an idea. Next year I would like to nominate Arab-speaking Jews or Israeli Arabs for the Nobel Peace Prize for being able to exist within their, quote, fractured selves. In doing so, we have done a lot more for peace in the Middle East than has Obama. And as a side note, boy, were those words prophetic, because think now, 8 years later, how wonderfully Obama has done for Mideast. Think about all the hope, all the crying of joy, or as we say in Arabic, biskaru bizbibe, right? To be drunk by the cork of Obama, just smelling the cork. Oh my God, so much hope, so much change. My life has been so irrevocably better since he came into office. The flowers smell better, the sex is more spicy, the food tastes better. I don't know what my life would have been like were it not for the 8 years of hope and change under Obama. And here again, I'm not specifically criticizing Obama, rather, I'm criticizing a profoundly idiotic and frankly immature response of people when they engage in hysteria, in the same way that those who were so crying they were just so happy that now race relations would finally be solved and everybody would hold hands, kumbaya, because Obama came to power. It's the exact same people who are afraid to go to the grocery store today because, the inauguration of Trump. So, anyways, going on. One final thought experiment. Let us suppose that we could recreate every single speech, interview, and or public appearance that Obama has given or made. Now, through the magic of science fiction, let us assume that we could replace the tall, dashing, and regal Obama with the short, nerdy, and buffoonish Ross Perot. Do you think that Perot would have been granted the Nobel Peace Prize? As a consumer scholar, I'm only too aware of the importance of packaging. Take the exact same product, put it in two different packages, cheap or fancy, and ask people to evaluate it. They arrive at completely different evaluations. Bottom line, there are countless individuals who dedicate their lives to fighting hunger, rescuing child soldiers, freeing women from sexual slavery, hunting down genocidal dictators, and endless other acts of extraordinary selflessness. Think of Nelson Mandela and the number of years he spent in horrific conditions in prison. He brought down the apartheid system. This award to Obama is an insult to true heroes of all political bents who put their lives on the line every day in the pursuit of justice, liberty, and equality around the world. And then I had posted an update because a few days after I had written this article, or actually the day after, October 11th, 2009, my former doctoral student Tripat Gill had just written to me to let me know of a post put up by a Harvard economist, Greg Mankiw. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mankiw, on the issue regarding the granting of an economics student Nobel Peace Prize, or a Nobel Prize in Economics. Anyways, you could click on the link in the article to see Dr. Mankiw's article. Let me just read it for you. Or the title: First Year Grad Student Wins Nobel Prize in Economics. And so I guess he had a similar idea to mine regarding how ridiculous it is to grant a president a Nobel Peace Prize for what amounted to 10 days into his presidency. Any case, now what I want to briefly talk about is the reaction that people are having, the outrageous collective Munchausen faux fear that people are signaling regarding the imminent uh, inauguration of Donald Trump. I've already weighed in on this in a previous Sad Truth clip. And today I was satirizing it because it's just out of control on my Facebook page. People are so afraid. They're a woman of color who, works somewhere in Maine, and she's afraid to go to work because, inauguration. I mean, think about how outlandish such a position is, right? I mean, what is it exactly in the personal life of this individual that's going to change by Donald Trump coming into power? I mean, he's going to round up people of color into camps. What? He's going to give green light for sexual predators to walk the streets and set up gang rape centers, right? So, what I was satirizing in my tweets and comments is not the fact that people don't have a right to have specific concerns about specific policies or positions by Donald Trump. I have some of these. Well, I was rather satirizing just the outrageous, the embarrassing, delusional, fake hysterics where people are afraid to just go about their daily lives. And so here is the response I had written to the buffoons who were unable to understand this point. So let me read it to you. This is from my social portals earlier today. It is truly astonishing how some people are utterly void of critical thinking skills, let alone a sense of humor. When I satirize the collective Munchausen Faux-Fear regarding Trump, this does not mean that there are no issues on which I might disagree with him and or with his appointed cabinet members. Only a slow 3-year-old arrives to such conclusions. I'm satirizing the overblown, silly, faux victimhood wherein people are engaging in frankly embarrassing testimonies about their looming daily fears now that Trump will be president. For example, if a Trump cabinet member is an evolution denier, I am obviously against such idiocy, and when appropriate, I'll try to point it out. However, I am not, quote, fearful of going for a stroll because Jews will soon be rounded up. I'm also not, quote, fearful that my wife might be sexually aggressed specifically because Trump has come to power, as so many idiots are proclaiming in terms of their own personal safety as women. So let me make this very simple for the slow ones. I'm satirizing a fake, delusional, and obnoxious hysteria. This in no way implies that there is nothing to criticize him about. To those still confused, it's time for nap time. I'll wake you up at 3 p.m. for milk and cookies. So again, if we should take away from the totality of today's clip, is that these obnoxious signaling mechanisms, right? When Obama ascends to the presidency, there is this crying, right? This hero worship of the cult personality. He's going to solve race relations. He's going to finally establish peace in the Middle East. Anybody who thought that is frankly a buffoon, right? And by the same token, oftentimes the same people are now afraid to go out because, Trump death squads will be looking for children to eat, after they rape them and decapitate them. So again, it is perfectly normal to have many, many things to criticize about any politician, right? It is certainly unlikely to be the case that you would ever agree with any one candidate on all issues. And so you don't like Trump about endless issues, go ahead and criticize them on these issues. But posting outrageous, I mean, really, I couldn't satirize some of the stuff I'm seeing on my Facebook page, right? I mean, people are sort of hugging it out on Facebook. It's okay, we'll be fine, don't worry, we'll be safe, we'll get through this, we'll learn to love again. Let's hope that our children will be safe and our women won't be attacked. Let's hope that we're not sent to internment camps. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's laughable, it's silly, it's immature, right? Trump will assume the presidency. Some things he'll do will be good, other things he'll do will be undoubtedly disastrous, and we will take every opportunity to either congratulate him when he does something well and criticize him when he does some idiotic thing, and I'm sure he'll do many such things. So there you have it, folks. That's what mature people do. They don't succumb to hysteria. Rather, they recognize that in a democracy, once in a while, our favorite candidate loses, in which case we hopefully regroup and come back stronger at the next election cycle. So don't worry, he will assume power in 2 days, but you will be okay, you will be safe, your children will be safe, and don't worry, the food sources will remain. You won't have to resort to the cannibalism of your children once Trump assumes the presidency. Have a good day, everybody. Ciao.